Hey, you guys, I am so excited to finally be releasing this new preset pack that I have been working on for a while. I'm just like ecstatic because I'm really passionate about this preset pack specifically. I know I've released so many in the past, but I think because I'm finally in Colorado in a place that I absolutely love, I'm so passionate about the elopements that I'm doing, the mountains, hiking, backpacking, all the outdoors things. It is the first time I feel like I've finally been in a place and like working in a niche of photography that I am just truly so excited about. And with that, my style has really adapted and changed. And so this is just kind of like a product of the excitement and like where my style has come and like how far I've come and just where I'm at right now. So I think there's just like a lot of exciting things all packed into this one like preset pack. With all that being said, I really want to do a video for you guys showing you how I use my presets, what they're going to look like, the reality behind using presets, maybe even just educating you guys on presets in general if you've never really used them before, if you don't really know how they work, because I feel like sometimes we can get these expectations that all of the presets that you ever buy or you've ever bought should be like one click, no adjustments, and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to show you what my presets look like, what I'm intending them for, the colors I want to bring out of my photos, and how to make those adjustments if they're not quite working for your photos. So let's go ahead and just dive into it. Okay, so I really want to dive into editing a handful of photos all from the same elopement. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you what my presets are supposed to look like my intention behind them, the colors I'm really trying to draw out. So that way, when you guys go to edit your own photos, you can kind of understand and get an idea of what the colors are supposed to be doing, what the presets are supposed to be doing. Because I know in the past I've gotten a lot of questions about, hey, like I can't quite figure out why like my photos are way too orange or way too warm, or why this color is not working, or whatever it might be. And so this is just going to be a good opportunity to show you all these raw photos in different lighting scenarios throughout the day and show you like what I'm trying to do with these photos and like behind my brain, and like kind of get more into like my brain a little bit. So the first tip I really want to get into, especially with any presets that you guys are using, is that it may not be a one-click solution for your photos. Actually, the majority of the time it's not. Even for my own photos, I'll apply my presets and make minor adjustments on every single one. So I just really have to show you. So the photos that I've selected here, most of them are out in the outdoors, but this first one was taken indoors. And when I apply my preset, you guys are gonna be like, oh my goodness, like what is going on? This does not look good, because I already know that because the photo was taken indoors. When you are shooting indoors, outdoors, in different lighting scenarios, whatever, like everyone's shooting with different cameras and different settings, the photos are going to look very different when you apply your presets depending on like in what lighting scenario you're editing. So my presets, and I feel like most photographers' presets, are catered towards outdoor natural lighting, and that's when you're going to get the most like one click solution and not have to make so many adjustments. So that's why I'm also going to like pull in this photo from the indoor, like an indoor situation, because I know that my preset's not going to look great on it. And so I'm going to apply my preset. I'm going to show you like the adjustments I may make when, if and when like this happens to you, and then what I want it to look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply my first preset here. And they all look like, my presets are like very similar, but like they do, the biggest difference between all of these is slightly the color, but also the way the highlights are utilized in these presets. So that's going to be a big difference you're going to see throughout. And I'm going to show you all of my presets on all of the photos kind of moving forward. So, but for this example, I just really wanted to show you like this could, you have like the photo that I originally took was very naturally lit. Like this is all natural lighting coming into the inside. I shoot an auto white balance, so that could make a difference because my camera is completely adjusted for this indoor scenario, so it looks like all natural and clean. But then when I go outdoors with the auto white balance, it's going to look completely different. The settings are going to be completely different. And so just kind of keep that in mind. That's why my preset is going to be looking crazy right here in this indoor photo. But when I apply this and just make a couple adjustments to the temperature and the tint, we're going to get a really beautiful, more naturally lit photo, and just making these minor adjustments. So as you can see, all I've done is adjust the temperature, the tint, and then I just raise the exposure a little bit. So let's kind of go from the before and after and show you guys what these photos are doing. I actually might warm it back up a little bit, around there. But then, like, I would, in general, I'd probably just make other, like, minor adjustments, kind of doing some of these things and whatnot. I'd probably play with this a little bit more. But anyways, you guys get the gist. I might even take, sometimes I see just, like, some weird blue color in the dress, so I might just take those down a little bit. So anyways, you guys get the idea. The photo, the preset was crazy looking. In that one click. And so if you're thinking, like, if you're seeing all my photos and being like, oh, I want my photos to look like that, and you apply it and it looks like this, and you're like, what am I getting myself into? All of the like all the goodies underneath, like the crazy look, are still there. You just have to adjust the temperature is probably the biggest thing you're going to have to adjust when using these presets, and any of my presets for that matter. So here you go. Like, this is kind of what it looks like. Very naturally edited. There is not a lot of difference. There's not a lot of different colors. It's just kind of enriching the photo. I want my photos to look natural. I want to bring out the natural look, the natural feel of what I'm seeing in the photos. And that's true throughout all of my pictures. So you're going to tell. So it is crazy. Like, when I applied my preset, it looks like crazy edited, but just adjust the temperature, the tint a little bit. And I brought the temperature down closer to, like, the cool, and then the tint I actually moved closer to the pink to balance it out. And then I think I just adjusted the exposure. So just kind of going over that with you guys, so you make sure like, moving forward, anytime this happens, even if this happens in an outdoor photo and it turns really, really orange and warm like this, just adjust the temperature. You guys are gonna, and then you're gonna really find that sweet spot. And I'm gonna show you here, in the next photos of what that's gonna look like. Okay, so now we're here more in the middle of the day, so the lighting is very different. We are kind of in the shade, but she's kind of lit by the sun. But I'm just going to show you guys what each of these presets looks like, just kind of going over, including the black and white. So this is my first black and white one. This one's a little bit more of a faded effect. I don't think I've ever really had to make any adjustments to any photo that I've used black and white on, this black and white version on. It's really beautiful and soft. It's one of my favorites. And then this other black and white adds, like, more pop, more contrast. The blacks are just a little bit darker. And then here we go into, like, the first preset. So this is the original, and this is preset number 1. So I love the colors I'm already bringing out, and I already love, like, what's going on, but I also know that I'm going to really have to start making adjustments to this. So I'm going to bring my highlights down a little bit, my exposure up a tad. I feel like the photo's a little too contrasted because it's, like, in the middle of the day. The sun is at the harshest, and so it feels really contrasted to me. So I'm actually going to bring the contrast down to kind of smooth that out a little bit. And I think it's the warmth could work if you like this a little bit more warm style. I actually kind of like it. Just keep it as is. But if you adjust the temperature just a tad, it looks a little bit more natural and not so warm. So it's totally up to you and, like, your style. I probably would turn down the warmth just a tad. But this ultimately looks really, really good. I have extra like masking presets that I've offered in my other packs that I kind of throw on there to kind of lighten up the edges. But let me show you guys, like, the before and after. So very few adjustments. Again, let's go back up here and look at, this was, like, the original preset. This is how I adjusted it just for my own liking, but really, really close. The second one, let me show you guys all of the presets on this photo. I'm just going to reset. So this is the first one. This is the second one. So you can see in the highlights, I really brought the highlights down in this one. And the undertones are a little bit more warm. So in the shadows, you see a little bit more warmth, which I really like. And I would probably, if it's a little too warm overall, I'd probably just adjust the temperature. I wouldn't really do anything else. But you can really kind of see in the shadows, like the trees and everything gets a little bit more red, and like the foliage and stuff. And then here's the third one. This one's a little bit more, warm overall as well, but the highlights also like really pop. So there's not as much detail in the highlights. So you're going to see it. You're going to notice that throughout all my photos as well. But I love each of these does a really great job in like different scenarios. So they look like pretty similar, which was a goal of mine. I didn't want to give you guys like 10 presets that all look drastically different. I have one style and I try to stick to it. And so these are just little adjustments that kind of work in like different scenarios, and I just kind of pick and choose whichever one in the moment and like make my minor adjustments from there. And then this is my film preset. So this one's always going to be extra warm, but you guys probably can't tell in this video, but there's a lot of grain added to it. It just looks really filmy. It's really beautiful. Honestly, I love the warmth. If you guys didn't want it to be so warm, you could even like really cool it off and make it like more of a cool filmy preset, because you can kind of see in the foliage and stuff when you cool it down, it turns it a little bit more blue, which I feel like feels filmy. So you can have that like really warm undertone or blue, whatever you guys want to do. But this one's one of my favorite presets that I've used, and I don't necessarily think I like it on this photo, but I loved it on some of the other photos that I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so now moving on, I'm just really wanting to show you guys more examples of like what all the presets look on different photos. So this photo is very blue. I think the sun is right behind them, but I think it's behind a cloud. So we're completely in the shadow here, and it's very, very blue photo. So this is going to be a great example of like it's just going to be a very different example. So when I apply my preset, it doesn't look orange, which is crazy because like in the indoor photo I applied it looked really orange. So like because this photo is already so blue, my preset is it's not gonna like my presets are warm, so it's not gonna look orange because the photo's already blue. So so this is just kind of like an example of like what this is actually a really good example showing you guys the different like highlights, the different details in the mountains and that kind of thing when you're working with different lighting scenarios. So I would definitely warm up these presets. I might even like start with this third one and actually warm it up a little bit, because I really like my photos to be a little bit more warm, and I don't want it to be super blue unless it's like a blue hour, we're like going for a moodier look. But yeah, from here it's just kind of making minor adjustments to figure out like how I would really want it, what I want it to look like. But that really shows you guys the difference between my presets on a photo like this versus my presets even on the photo before, and how much more warm it was. And then here's my film preset. Again, it's kind of hard to see the grain probably in the video, but I really like this because the photo is already blue, but I'm probably going to warm it up a little bit. But you can see like when I zoom in, just like the detail and the grain and everything, it's really, really beautiful. And I might even like turn it down a little bit. So and I just love the color in the film preset. I just love the color that comes out of it. And it's also really smooth. It's not super contrast. It's not like a super like popping like preset. It's very smooth. And like, I feel like all the colors blend in really well together. And then the black and white, I love the black and white presets that I have here. So this one is a little bit more faded, and then this one gives it a little bit more pop. So okay, moving on to the next photos. He was really getting her cheek. I like this photo because again, it's like as a photo, it's a little bit more on the cool side. It's not super warm, but this is going to really show you guys their skin tones. And so that's what I'm really going to be showing you guys here with my presets. So let's go with number 1, number 2, and then number 3. So that way you guys can actually really see. This is probably the best photo so far to really see the difference in like what the colors are doing and what the highlights are doing. So you can see between here, let's do 1 to 2. Here's 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3. So you guys can like really see the difference in their skin tones, the difference in like the highlight colors. Like this number 2 preset, there's a little bit more blue highlight in the whites, or in the highlights. There's a little bit more blue tint in the highlights, and not so much in like the other 2. And then you can also look at their skin tones. So I would actually, because the photo is already cool, and actually if you look at just the previews under here, a lot of these photos are like a little bit more on the cool end. I'd probably warm a lot of them up. But that's again, why I wanted to show you these first two photos, but especially the first one and how orange it looked when I applied my preset. That's just not the case for the rest of these photos. So it's, yeah, again, just kind of showing you guys that and giving you guys like that, you know, piece of editing advice with my presets. So with this photo, I'd probably even like warm it up a little bit, maybe brighten it a little bit. And with skin tones, my favorite thing to do, and actually I'm just gonna go ahead and really zoom in on this cheek bite. I told him like bite her jaw a little bit, and he really went for it. I have different photos of him not biting her jaw so much. I think I just picked a random one, so it's just kind of funny. But with the skin tones, I really like to come down here to the orange sliders and play with this when it comes to skin tone. So if you want to lighten or darken their skin tone, I actually like to keep my orange luminance down. It honestly makes them a little bit more tan. It just like evens out the skin tone. It doesn't make it so bright and like highlighty. It just looks a little bit more smooth, a little bit more even. And most of the time I bring the orange down a little bit because naturally it's like right around here. So I just kind of bring the orange down a touch to make their skin tone not look like orange, because my goal is to warm up the photo but keep their skin tones looking as natural as possible. So I know in the past with my past presets I've really overdid it in my opinion on a lot of the skin tones and how orange the skin tones look like looking back on it. So that's been something I've transitioned out of a lot in the past few years, of really trying to make my skin tones look as natural as possible while warming up the photo and like making it feel really good. So again, here's black and white. Black and white number 2 adds a little bit more pop. My first mountain preset here, again, how I'm going to show you how I'd warm it. This looks great too. Like if you guys don't want it warm, these are great for having a cooler like preset as well. But that's the beauty of just adjusting the temperature. If you wanted to warm it up or cool it down, you can really adjust it to like your preference. But like I warmed it up a tiny bit. This is perfect. I might even just maybe raise that shadows a little bit, maybe decrease the contrast. I don't know, something like that. So from going from this to this, it's very, very subtle adjustments. And so this is the number 2 preset. So from number 1 to number 2, again, you can really see how the highlights have changed. You can see a lot more detail in the mountains in the back, whatever you like. I really kind of like this look of the first one where it's like a lot of light and like haziness in the background. It makes the couple pop a little bit more. And I just really think the light and how blurry, like just how smoothed out all is back here, I just think it's really beautiful. But I know a lot of you guys really like to see a lot of the details and the highlights. So this is a really good preset for that. And then again, showing you kind of number 3, the colors in this, to me, I just see a big difference in the colors in number 3 versus like number 1 and 2. So let's just kind of go back and forth a little bit to show you guys the difference between all those. And then this is my film preset, which I actually really like it for this photo. I love the way it looks inside in the trees and the colors of the trees and the grass and everything. And even like in the blues, but this is really pretty. I'm gonna even like crop it way in to show you guys a little bit more of the detail of like the grain. I don't know, you can really see it when I really zoom in, but in the video I just don't think you're gonna see it as well. But yeah, I really, really like that filmy preset. This is a similar photo. I'm just gonna kind of go through really quick to show you, but again, here's number 1, here's number 2, and then here's number 3. So I'm going to actually go back and forth from 1 to 3 a little bit to show you guys the difference in these. So the colors are a little different. The shadows are a little bit higher in the 3rd preset, and the highlights are down a little bit more. And I can just tell like there's definitely just a different like hue in overall in the colors in 1 and 3. So again, each of one works really well in like different scenarios, but honestly, if I just had one of these presets and used it all the time, it would be great because they are very similar. And then again, here's like black and white and a little bit more pop. And then here's my film preset. And then this one, the sun was going down more and more, which is why I'm kind of showing you guys this gradual like a shift in the images. Let me crop this so it makes it. But this one was really moody. The sun was completely behind the mountain. You can see some light coming through behind that mountain peak. And so the photos got really, really moody. So my presets are not going to look overly warm, but you can kind of see the difference in like what my presets are doing here. So I would actually probably warm up the photo a little bit. Maybe I would, with this preset, take the highlights down, maybe raise the shadows, and I'm going to show you just like the before and after. It's so like it's so I love the colors in these presets. Even like number 3, kind of showing you guys different ways you can like edit these photos. Yeah, so you guys kind of get the idea. They're very easy to adjust. The colors are beautiful throughout. It's usually just the temperature, the tint, sometimes exposure. Like you really don't have to make too many adjustments for your photos because everything else looks really, really well pretty much throughout the board, whatever photos like you're editing. I picked this photo because I turned her around. She's now facing the mountains where all the light is coming in. So this photo is going to be a great even lighting, like even natural smooth lighting. It's not super contrasted. It's really soft. So it's going to be a really good one to kind of show you the difference between all my presets and what they're doing. Especially like seeing these in like the most natural light possible is like the best way to see what my presets are doing. So this is raw, and then here's my first preset, and here's my second preset, and then here's my third preset. So this, again, you can really see a difference in the colors with this photo in particular. So between 1 and 2, the warmth in the foliage is a lot more evident. I was kind of talking about that in the trees and like the second image before, down here, but there's a lot more like warmth in the shadows and in the foliage and that kind of thing, and then a lot less highlight, so you can really see more details in the sky and her dress and that kind of thing. And then number 3, you can just see a big difference between like 1 and 3 in her skin tones, in the highlights, the colors. Like it's her skin isn't popping as much. It's a lot smoother in the third one. So that's just kind of the biggest difference between all 3 of these. And then you've got the film preset, which I actually love for this photo. I don't know why. I just like really, really love it. I think it's so pretty. I love the colors in the foliage and the grass and trees and everything. I just love that like warmth just brought in. There is a lot of grain added. I could even like really zoom it in here and show you guys like more of the detail of the grain if you can see that. But let me go from before and after. So this film preset is one of my favorites. You can really kind of see too when I do before and after and like zoom in the graininess, the roughness of like the filmy part of it. So I don't know. I just love the detail in that. I love the colors. It's just fun. It's just a fun addition if you guys want to get creative and just like have some diversity in your galleries. And this is the final one. This is like the last photo we took of the day. So here's the black and white. Here is the second black and white. It's a little more contrasted. Here is preset number 1, 2, and 3. And so I might even go with like preset number 2. I'd probably warm it up. I barely tapped the warmth, and like just adding a tiny little bit of warmth can make the biggest difference. I'm gonna even like do this a little bit. Yeah, and so this is the before and after, so very minimal adjustments and very minimal editing. Oh, let me throw on this film preset to show you guys. Oh, the film preset looks really, really pretty on it too. It's just a little different. And one thing I actually completely forgot to mention is I have this add grain preset, which you guys have probably been looking at and being like this whole time, what is that for? Like, what are we doing with this? This is literally just a grain additive you can use on any photos on top of any of these other presets. So for example, if we want to go back here and just add grain, just click on that. It's not going to change anything about your photo except it's just adding grain. And again, it's always hard to see when you're editing, but if I zoom in here, I'm going to undo that. You guys can see like how smooth it is before I add the grain, and hover over the grain, and it's just going to add a grain just to add texture to your photos. You can do that to any of your photos. So that's what that preset is for. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a really good idea of the presets, the intention behind them, what they're supposed to do, what could happen if you apply them to your photos, how to adjust them to really get the most out of them. So this is just like really what I wanted to do is kind of show you my photos, the raws, and like applying the presets and like how to work them. So Anyways, I'm really excited. I really hope you guys love the presets. If you ever have any questions, you can email me, becca@canonweddings.com. And if you ever post any photos using my presets, I would love for you to tag my preset account. You don't have to like mention me or anything, but tag me just so like I can share or I can see it or I can like it and comment it and engage with you guys a little bit just to show you some appreciation. There's definitely no need to actually have to tag me if you're using my presets, but just if you want to share it with me, tag me on Instagram, Becca Cannon Presets, and I would love to engage with you guys.